Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Primetime Carolina. I'm your host, Tanner Blue, along with my co-host, Dave LaFave. Back in the house, a little bit more on a somber note this episode as we are discussing a Panthers loss. First time this regular season, Panthers go down to the Cowboys in Dallas. Unfortunately, came out with an L. Dave, how you feeling, man? We've had a day to recover. How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling better than I was at, 4:30 yesterday. But it's tough taking that first L of the season, but I think we're all doing a good job of taking away the positives from the game rather than the negatives.
I think so. I feel pretty much the same way. During the game, I was not very happy during a lot of the points of it, but after it happens every time your team loses a game. You get fired up, you start thinking about all the negatives, and then once you take a step back and you really think about it, you see everything for what it is. And the Panthers they're still in good shape. They're going to be just fine. But we'll get into more of that. But yeah, Panthers go down to Dallas. We lose 36-28. Panthers end up making a little bit of a closer game there at the end. Almost had a chance of maybe getting the ball back and try to tie the game up. But at the end of the day, Panthers lose the game. They move to 3-1 on the season. Dallas is now 3-1. We are now tied first place in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after they beat the Patriots last night. Dave, give me your overall general thoughts on the performance of the team yesterday and your thoughts on the game.
All right, I'll start with the biggest thing first. Before I get into that, as much as it pains me, I have to give the Dallas Cowboys some credit on this one. My entire life I've been watching this team get overhyped, overrated, thrown in my face, being told how great they are, and they've just never amounted up to the team that they were supposed to be. I'm used to a team that's good at making highlights but not really coming away with wins. And I think this team is different. So to the Dallas Cowboys and to their fans who told me this team was legit and I didn't want to believe them, I'm going to have to apologize because I feel like the Panthers played a really good team on Sunday. But what the big surprise for me in this game was, and the reason we lost, is because our front seven just got steamrolled. I expected to see our secondary struggle. I expected to see our offensive line struggle. I did not expect to see our defensive line get pummeled and steamrolled. I know that they were playing at a level that, or the stats probably made it seem like they were playing at a higher level than they really were. They were only averaging, 40 yards allowed per game, which I knew they weren't that insanely good because they had been playing weak teams. But that being said, I did not expect to see them give up over 200 yards rushing. I was mentally prepared for 80, maybe 100, but this front seven just got destroyed by this Dallas offensive line. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. They got embarrassed.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It was an absolutely terrible performance from the front seven. I can't tell you how many times I was launching curse words at the TV yesterday, just watching Zeke, who really hasn't done much all year up until this point, gashing us, just massive holes. And listen, I get it. Look, I think the Panthers do have a top 10 defense. I think anyone that really believed they were on historic levels defensively were homers at best. But I know Dallas has a very, very good offensive line. There's no doubt about that. But I thought, for the most part, it would be an evenly matched game. I know they'd have their runs, they'd have their moments, but I thought the Panthers would be able to shut some of that down. And no matter how bad the Panthers played, how many penalties were against them, how many sloppy decisions, whatever they did, at the end of the day, they got manhandled up front. And the game always comes down to the trenches. It was a unacceptable performance from the Panthers front seven, and I don't want to see it again this season. I get it. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes one comes out there. But if you want to be considered a top-tier defense, you don't let that happen. So I guarantee this was a punch right in the mouth, and I think they're going to fix this very quickly.
Yeah, I feel like there were probably a few factors that went into this. I think Dallas probably knew if they were going to beat us, they were going to need to run the ball effectively, which clearly they had no problem with that. I think our defense, maybe because of the way the NFL is evolving to what it is currently, our defense is built a little more finesse, a little more speed.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't ready for a team to come out and just punch them in the mouth and run it right down their throat. And that's exactly what Dallas did. And I have to give Dallas credit, man. I mean, I knew their offensive line was, good, not as great as it's been, earlier in Ezekiel Elliott's career, but I was impressed with their offensive line. I certainly didn't think we would come out of this game with no sacks either. So, I mean, they just demolished our front seven. What was supposed to be the strength of our team.
Yeah. And they say defense travels. Well, it didn't happen yesterday. I was very disappointed in the defense, mostly the front seven. I expected the secondary to struggle a little bit. That's fine. But I think this is a big wake-up call. I don't know if they were drinking some of the Kool-Aid or not, what was going on. But, I mean, sometimes everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth, and we did. But I think we're going to be able to adjust just fine. I like what you said about the finesse. We are a little bit more of a finesse defense. Only Derek Brown is really that only big guy that's in there really disrupting stuff. So maybe missing a little bit of beef, a little bit of power there. But yeah, we can't let that happen again. And I don't think we will. I think this doesn't feel like Ron Rivera-esque where everybody's just getting ran on. This feels a little bit different. I think it just was one of those games.
I think we have a very agile linebacker group. They're, like we said, they're built more for speed. And I think that showed in this game. The way Dallas was able to pull guards, bring in extra blockers, open up just big holes, man. There's no other way to put it. They were just getting steamrolled in the holes. I mean, I can't give them enough credit, honestly. Like I said, as much as it pains me to say it, I can't give them enough credit, man. They just came out and they punched us right in the mouth.
They did a fantastic job, and God knows I hate Cowboys fans, but hey, they've got a very, very good team. They're a veteran team. They've got, they're strong across the board. Their defense isn't all that great, but they played pretty well yesterday. I never believed in Dak Prescott. Dude's a freaking baller. I'm eating my words. So he's been fantastic coming back from injury. They got weapons all around the field. So, hats off to those guys. I think they'll win the division. We might see them again maybe in the playoffs, but for the most part, I think Dallas is a very good team for once.
Yeah, I think it would be great for us to avoid them at all costs because honestly, this is just a team we do not match up well against. Their strengths are our weaknesses. So we knew that their offensive line was good, but we didn't expect them to just run over us the way they did. Correct. That was really the biggest factor in this game. When it came to our offensive line and their defensive line, we knew that was a bad matchup. And our offensive line's been the weakest part of our team since the season started. Coming into the game, it was like I knew our offensive line was bad, and I knew our secondary was banged up, and I knew that would be the two biggest factors in this game. Like I said, the big surprise for me was their ability to run the ball. Excuse me. It's just, our offensive line is just really, really bad, dude. I don't know how else to put it. And it's to this point, we've been able to cover it up because we've been playing with leads. We've been able to, get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. You take that away and you take those leads away, and we have to be an offense that goes out and scores points to keep up with another team, and we just can't do it.
I agree with you. I think, and I just want to say, I think that we have the weapons and the quarterback play to do it. Our line is not there. And I think every Panthers fan knew that. it kind of bugged me a little bit this offseason. I love the offseason. I love the the signings we made. I love the draft that we've done. A lot of good players, but I was still really kind of looking for more in the offensive line department. And God knows it's been a problem probably since the day I was born. And it still is a problem. And we got absolutely destroyed yesterday on the offensive line. It's not a secret that our offensive line isn't all that great, but listen, they've got two guys that they drafted in this draft. These guys need to be getting some looks. I mean, I feel like at this point there's not really much you can argue about them being rookies or not being ready. They can't be much worse than what's going on right now. Our tackles are fine. I like Moten. He's our best offensive lineman. Irving hasn't been, terrible. He's been okay. I mean, he hasn't really given up anything too major. It's just the interior of the line, man. Our guards are getting pummeled. Matt Paredes is getting beat like a drum. It's just like, man, the Panthers, they're ahead in terms of their rebuild, but that right there, that unit, that's what's going to cost them, from being a top tier team. Not saying they won't ever get it fixed, because they will, but right now we're a very solid team as opposed to being a very, very great, very, very good team, because the offensive line play is just not there.
Yeah, it's severely holding this team back, severely. And like you said, this has been an issue for the Panthers for years. They've just, for whatever reason, this position group has been completely neglected. And it's just mind-boggling, because we always just, assume it's going to get fixed at some point. It still hasn't. And right now, that's really the only thing that's going to keep us from taking that next step as a team as we get farther into the season. So I'm wondering if for me, I think it's obvious. I'm wondering if the team feels the same way, if it's worth looking at some free agent offensive lineman to bring in. I think about Russell Okung, who we had last year. He wasn't amazing, but I think he was definitely better than what we have going right now. And like you said, Paredes has just been horrible. And it's not just this year. It's been since we brought him in to this team. He was supposed to be this Pro Bowl caliber center. He has not been anything close to that. And this year, especially in that game, it was obvious that interior part of that offensive line was just horrible. And that was honestly probably, along with how poorly the defensive line played, those two things are pretty much what dictated the score of this game.
You win in the trenches, you lose in the trenches. We lost both battles yesterday, offensive and defensive line. There's not much you can do in terms of that. So, yeah, Brady Christensen, Deontay Brown, give the guys a look. We need something to happen, because just can't keep going in with that same group.
Mm-hmm.
Just can't do it.
I agree. The rookies can't be any worse. I mean, there's just no way.
No, they can't be. And if they are, okay, then they are. It is what it is.
At least we tried.
We tried. Okay.
Right.
So, that's what cost us the game yesterday, was up front of the trenches, defensive line, offensive line, getting both manhandled. We didn't win that, so that's the main majority. We lost the game. I will say this, though, and I've said it. Some people might disagree with me because of this game, maybe because of stats, but Sam Darnold looked really freaking good again. I mean, he had 2 picks late in the game. The Panthers are throwing the ball. They're down by like 3 touchdowns. I mean, it is what it is. But behind that offensive line, he made some really good plays, made some great throws. DJ Moore probably had his best game ever as a Panther. I was ecstatic to see that. And then Darnold's out here running for touchdowns like it's nothing. I mean, I really liked his performance again yesterday. I was very, very pleased.
Yeah, I think the only thing you can point to is those 2 interceptions, but I think that's not really fair. Don't get me wrong. They were poor decisions, and I think he wasn't seeing the field well at that time, but I think that's because he felt rushed. Because as bad as everything was in this game, it really all came down to that third quarter. That third quarter was absolutely putrid. It was like one bad thing after another. First, we missed a field goal. Dallas threw their long touchdown to Amari Cooper. Sam Darnold came out once once you see that touchdown, you're like, oh crap, our defense isn't dominating the way they normally do. We need to go score points. Sam Darnold comes out, throws an interception. They score again. Oh, now we're down by even more points. We need to score again. Throws another interception. And it was just this snowball effect. It was like one bad thing after another just kept happening in that third quarter, and the game just got so far away from the Panthers, it was like it was over. With that being said, they did respond. They came back and they did, manage to get the game within one score. That being said, I kind of feel like that was more Dallas than it was us, which, I wasn't complaining because they were letting us right back in the game. It felt like they did a lot of what we have talked about before on this podcast, what we used to do with Ron Rivera all the time, and just build up a big lead and then sit in a prevent defense for the whole second half of the game and just let the other team chip their way down the field until you look up and they're down by one score. And that's exactly what we did to them. I don't really feel like we did anything special. I felt like they pretty much gave it to us. But I think if you're Matt Rule, you can ignore that and you can look at your team and say, look, we did an incredible job coming back in this game. No matter how bad we were getting beat, we came back and we almost beat this team. That's going to be a team that will be around in January. This is a good team that you were able to come back and make it a close game. So one of the things we wanted to see this team do was face adversity, respond from adversity, and that's something they did. So I'm going to give them credit for that. Like I said, I'm not sure it was all them. I think McCarthy and the Cowboys made some really dumb decisions in the second half of the game that kind of led us back into it. But if I'm Matt Rule, that's what I'm preaching to my team. You guys did what you had to do to make this game close, and you can take that moving forward into the season. The next time, your team's down by 10 points, you can say, well, remember the Cowboys game? We can get 2 touchdowns when we need 2 touchdowns. Let's go do it. So if I'm Matt Rule, that's the speech I'm giving the team.
I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. And I've mentioned this in almost every episode pretty much, but there's a difference between this team's mentality and the Ron Rivera mentality. Like an example was a couple years back when the Panthers were like 6-2, and then we played that Thursday night game against the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hyped up game. Panthers were 6-2. Steelers were very, very. I think they were 7-1. We were playing good ball. Cam Newton was still. This was the game where that changed his whole career when he got hit in the shoulder by T.J. Watt. After that, he was never the same. But he was still playing well up until that point. We got freaking smoked in that game, and we lost like 45-7. I had never been so embarrassed to be a Panthers fan, so unprepared, it just was embarrassing. Even though we're getting beat by a couple scores yesterday, they didn't quit and they didn't embarrass themselves, and they showed fight and they made it into a game late. Yes, they lost the game. Yes, Dallas was playing the prevent. They're not trying as hard, but they didn't quit. And I think that right there, listen, we're as good as we are doing right now, we're way ahead of schedule. If when you step back and look at things, we may have a good team that can win now, but we're still in a rebuild. Last year we were terrible.
Yep.
This year we are so much better. We were way ahead of schedule. This was like a 3 to 4 or 5 year plan. We're way ahead of schedule. This game right here just showed me that even though the Panthers lost, they can face adversity, they can come back, and they can handle things in the face of adversity. And I think that's going to be very, very good for them in the long run once you get, to the wild card maybe, and then in the seasons following up. I think this was a tough loss, but a loss where you could learn a lot about yourself and a lot about the team. And even though we lost, I was very impressed about how they came back and they didn't just lay down. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, and I think what you just said is important because I feel like coming into the season, we felt like 9, 10, 11 games was kind of best case scenario anyway. But I think because the year started out 3-0, there were some pleasant surprises along the way. For example, Sam Darnold, the amount of crazy pressure the defensive line has been getting, Hassan Reddick coming in as a free agent. It was like, oh my God, maybe we're better than we thought we were, which I think is still probably true. But we have to take a step back and, keep our perspective. if we finish with, 10 wins this season or 9 wins this season, we really did better than we were supposed to do anyway. And right now we're sitting at 3-1. We have a favorable schedule coming up. I think 4 1-3 teams are our next opponents. So you would think worst case scenario is 2-2 is like absolutely worst case scenario. You're sitting at 5-3. You assume you're going to go at least 3-1. You're sitting at 6-2, about halfway through the season. So you cannot be mad at where we are. If someone told you before the season you're going to be 3-1 after the first 4 games,
I'm hyped.
You're going to take that every time. So
absolutely.
There's a lot of – sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I feel the exact same way. It made me feel a lot better once because, when you're 3-0, you start to get like shit, like we're a lot better than we thought. We're like, we could do this. And then, you face a very good veteran team. You don't come out on the victory side. You're kind of like, damn, like maybe we're not all that. But once you take perspective and you think about it, this team last year could not be doing what this team is doing this year. Absolutely not. So we are way ahead of schedule on what we look to accomplish. This is just the beginning seeds of hopefully a very, very good football team for the next decade or so.
Yeah, and like we said, this game really exposed our weaknesses in what was a really bad matchup for the weak spots on our team. I mean, it just really was. And I think, moving forward, we have a very, very young team. We can't lose sight of that. We have one of the youngest teams in the league. So this can definitely be a learning experience for a young team, and we need to keep that mindset moving forward for sure.
Absolutely. What were your thoughts on, even though we lost the game, a couple bright spots I want to touch on. What were your thoughts on Chiva Hubbard yesterday? I think he did pretty well.
I thought he was okay. He had a couple nice runs. Personally, I don't think he was quite physical enough between the tackles, but I don't think our team was physical enough between the tackles, so it's not like it was just him. It definitely made a big difference in the passing game because, like we said, we couldn't block anybody. It was very difficult, I think, for Sam Darnold to not have that safety blanket of McCaffrey to just dump it off to him, when he gets in a tough spot. Which, that's not Chiva Hubbard's fault because not very many people are Christian McCaffrey. Only Christian McCaffrey's Christian McCaffrey, but, so I think he's fine. If McCaffrey ever went out for an extended period of time, I'm not sure I'd be all that comfortable with him, but he's doing a fine job for a rookie running back.
I think, I think he did fine yesterday. He made a couple runs here and there. I think, he was given another 10, 12 carries or so. I mean, probably could have had a 100-yard game. I mean, it was better than what we have seen thus far, and I can live with that. So, like you said, not sure if I'd be comfortable if McCaffrey was definitely out for the season. Okay, we might need to, make a move or bring someone in. But I think for what he's done so far, it's been fine, and he doesn't need to be all pro. Not everybody can be that type of player. We just need someone that's serviceable and fine when McCaffrey is on the field to give the man a damn breather. So, and that's all we need. Another person, dude, freaking, I love DJ Moore, man. Guy's absolute stud. He had, to me, his best game as a Panther. Like, that was the game where I was like, dude, we could see this every week from DJ Moore. He is that good.
Well, the thing about DJ Moore that makes him so special is he's never, and I think we talked about this when Joe Brady took over, he's never been great really at creating separation in his route running. But when he gets the ball in his hands, he is probably the best receiver in the league at running after the catch. I mean, he's right up there. He's right up there with anybody. He is like a running back playing receiver once he gets the ball in his hands. He's breaking tackles. He's juking. He's ducking. He's diving. He's dodging. He's giving stiff arms. And I loved when Joe Brady used him as a running back yesterday in place of McCaffrey because their skill sets, honestly, as receivers are really similar.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, Listen, yesterday he was an absolute monster. I've got him on one of my fantasy teams. He was a freaking beast. I loved it. But just the guy, yards after catch, man, that's what he was known for when he came out of college. Just, hey, this dude's really good after the catch. I was like, okay, well, like we'll see. Like it's not really something I really think about that much. When this guy gets the ball, he does not go down on contact first hit.
Yep.
He just has like the way he moves, like the way he runs is
He
very
has great balance.
different.
It's almost like Alvin Kamara-esque.
Yeah,
That's what
like
Luke Kuechly always said about Alvin Kamara is it was just tough to bring him down because he always had such great balance. And I feel like DJ Moore is similar. And we saw that on that play where he did the Spider-Man burn celebration mid-play
yeah,
and didn't let his knee touch the ground on that big reception. That's balance. That's why it's
exactly.
tough to bring down a guy with great balance like Alvin Kamara.
So yeah, he did an awesome job yesterday. I love DJ Moore. He's no, there's so many good receivers in this league, but he is extremely underrated. And he's the pace he's on right now, dude. He's going for like 1,400 yards receiving. Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what his numbers are looking like right now, but I imagine they would have to be pretty darn
let me
good.
look it up. Let me look it up. Let me see here.
So it says he has 113 in this game. I mean, I assume he's been around 100
So
every
he's
game.
got 30 catches for 398 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's basically got 400 yards receiving already.
Yeah, so you multiply that times 4, you're looking at 1,600 plus another game. He could easily have a 1,700-yard season.
That would
Is
break a
essentially
record. That would
what he's on pace for.
yeah. So that's awesome. I love it.
Oh,
Rob.
speaking of which, I crunched some numbers yesterday, and I have to say this while we're here.
Okay.
Sam Darnold's on pace for 4,700 yards passing in a 16-game season. In this 17-game season, he's on pace to throw for 5,000 yards and rush for over 20 touchdowns.
I'm telling you, man, Darnold's looked really good to me. I like the dude he's like in his pocket. He's getting better. Like he's the only thing, and I can't really call this his fault because the O-line has been so bad. Sometimes his awareness in the pocket I could see is a bit aloof because when someone like kind of comes in, I want to see him maybe step up or step to the side a little bit more as opposed to just kind of going down. I don't know if that's just a thing he's used to because he's used to getting sacked all the damn time. But man, I like what he's done so far. He's played. There hasn't been at one point like if we were needed a game-winning drive, like this game, I would have felt comfortable putting Sam Darnold back there. Like, hey, this kid can make a throw. Let's see it.
Yeah. He's definitely got that it factor to him. I mean, you can feel it. I mean, even in this game when he had that second rushing touchdown, it was just a gutsy play. You know, it was wide open, but the way he at the end of it, he got to the goal line and he ran right into 2 defenders and didn't think twice about it. You know,
Nope.
He's just got that go get it mentality. It feels like so. He's
another small nitpick I just want to add real quick is that he yesterday and kind of all throughout the whole season, he's known for that. He's got a cannon. He's got that deep ball. The deep balls haven't quite been there yet. They've tried a little bit more in the past couple of games, but they haven't connected yet. Just don't know if it's a timing issue or if it's just trying to work out those kinks. But I know I've noticed they've tried. They just haven't connected yet.
Yeah, they definitely missed on one yesterday that was open. They missed on one to DJ Moore, which was not a terrible throw. It was just a little bit out of his reach. I mean, I think it'll probably come in time. He did hit on that one in week 1 against the Jets to Robbie Anderson. So, it hasn't been perfect with the deep balls, that's for sure. But I think the opportunities will keep coming. Honestly, I would think the biggest factor in those is timing being thrown off by the offensive line not being able to block because they've just been horrible, honestly, all season. I mean, this is the first game where it really mattered because we've, pretty much blown out the other 3 teams, but they've been bad all year. And in this game, it was hard to watch at some points. I mean, they were just so bad.
It was. I mean,
And it makes me wonder if – oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, you look at the screen, Darnold got sacked 5 times yesterday. I mean,
yeah, we got sacked 5 times. Dak Prescott didn't get sacked once by our defensive line. I mean, that's absurd. And I wonder if our offensive line's even better than the one he had in New York. I mean, I'm not sure it is. It really probably isn't. We just have a better offensive scheme and better players for him to work with.
Yeah, to help cover that up some. So, I
Yeah.
would agree with that statement. I I hate to be this guy, but I've got to bring it up. Man, the officiating the past 2 games has been terrible.
No.
Terrible.
Yeah, and you get, really tired of just talking about it and like complaining about it. And I feel the same way. Like I hate being that guy who sits there and complains about the refs. But like as bad as it's been in these last 2 games, how are we not supposed to sit here and like moan constantly? That
I mean,
that that fumble call was absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal, Tanner. That had the potential to be a momentum shifting play in which could have changed the outcome of the game.
sure.
Because Dallas went down the field and scored on that drive, which,
Exactly.
by the way, had another horrible missed call when they didn't call the hold on Morgan Fox was getting held on Dak's big 4th down run, which came, right after that play. They went up 14-7. We could have gone up 14-7. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed it. When we were up 14-13, Dallas wasn't as comfortable running the ball, which is one of the biggest reasons we lost this game. They started trying to throw the ball more. So I imagine if we went up 14-7, they would have really been trying to throw the ball a little bit more. They wouldn't have relied on Zeke as much in that big offensive line, which frankly was bullying our defensive front 7, pushing them around. We would have had a chance to get more opportunities to sack Dak, force fumbles, force interceptions, make another, momentum producing play that could have put us farther ahead. We got the ball to start the second half. Who knows what could have happened if they got that call right.
I mean, man, just I obviously I'm not an NFL player, but I played cornerback in pretty much my whole life when I played football from Pop Warner all the way up to high school. Dude, you can't tell me that other than quarterback, playing corner right now is the hardest position to play in the NFL or just in football in general. I mean, these guys cannot make a single touch or grab or move without a flag being thrown. It is pathetic. Yeah. It's just like every single thing is a flag. All you got to do is just, if you're playing at home, the crowd goes, oh, they throw their hands up, and then all you got to do is just turn at the ref. There's your flag. There's your first down. It's just like, man, come on, let the guys play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is a very, very tough position to play, especially like you said, the way the NFL is today. And it's just so built for the offense to succeed. And then you got to be on an island out there by yourself against, the most athletic guys on the field.
And then last week, whenever we played the Texans, they gave us a rough in the passer because I can't remember which defensive lineman it was, went low and hit the legs of Davis Mills.
Right.
I don't remember who it was yesterday. It might have been Randy Gregory. Same exact play. Goes right for Donald's legs, falls down in the pocket, hits him, falls on his back. No call.
Right.
I mean,
I know. You're exactly right.
It's just like, man, I just feel like Dallas, I mean, they were just getting every single call. And I was just like, man, I mean, we're not playing that great, but it's certainly not helping us. Like, but it wasn't really anything like the Panthers were doing that was like sloppy. Where it's like, come on, guys, you got to do better than that. It just was very nonsensical stuff that, I don't know. It just seemed like we just couldn't get any calls to go our way. It's tough when you're playing Dallas in Dallas, believe me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no other, words for it. I mean, it was blatant. They were blatantly calling the game for the Cowboys at certain points, it felt like. And I mean, like I said, I hate being that guy who sits there and like complains about the refs, but at some point, they give you no choice but to sit here and complain about them.
Exactly. So, I mean, hey, that is what it is. Cam Newton's he's not young enough to get those calls yet. So,
nope. Out of the league and still not young enough.
Still not getting those calls. But, for the most part, it was a tough game. But, the Panthers, they rallied, they came back, and they showed some strength. This week we got the Eagles coming up. We're back at home. Thank goodness. I don't really know what to think about the Eagles. I think this is going to be a tougher game than people are expecting, just because, I mean, the Eagles, they might not have the best defense, but they've got a couple weapons on offense. Jalen Hurts can run the ball. You know, Panthers have got to be on their P's and Q's. I think they should win this game. I think they're the better team, but I'm not taking anything for granted. I want to get to 4-1, so they need to come with their chin strap ready to rock and roll on Sunday.
No, I agree with you. I think this is a very sneaky game. I think people look at the Eagles and say, "Oh, they're 1-3." Well, they're 1-3, but they just gave the Chiefs all they could handle on Sunday.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they're not the greatest team, but they can score points on offense. Jalen Hurts has been pretty darn good this year. So anytime you got a quarterback who can make plays, the team's going to go as he goes. And if he can make enough plays for them, on Sunday, they could put us in a bad position. So we better come ready.
I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Panthers will pull it out. I think, Eagles might make a late mistake here, there, or two, maybe. I don't know. I feel like the Panthers will win, but I just feel like it's going to be a close game. The Eagles might make a mistake here or there. We take advantage late. We'll do a show later on this week, talking about the matchup. I think I like the way we're going. That we do one review of the game and then a preview of the next game. But one last thing I wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap things up tonight is I saw today Christian McCaffrey is practicing on Wednesday. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
I hope he's back, Tanner.
Yeah, he's okay. I guess he could come back.
If he comes back, that would be mildly helpful for the team.
Just a little bit. I mean,
say the least.
Just a little bit.
I think also, sorry, you just reminded me that Shaq Thompson is going to be out. They said recently. I think
really?
He's week to week is what they have him listed as. So I don't know if he'll be available this week either.
What about Hassan Reddick? Is he fine?
I haven't seen anything about Hassan Reddick.
Because I know he got hurt at some point yesterday. I don't remember if he came back or not. But listen, I like our chances a lot more if McCaffrey is back in this game, but God knows I don't want him to come back if he's not ready. I want him to come back, but if he's not ready, please don't play the guy. I think we can win without him, but I would very, 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 very much prefer to have him in the game.
Absolutely. It's one of those catch-22s. Oh, well, no pun intended. Catch-22 that you want him back, but you don't want to rush him back and make it worse. But before we go, Tanner, I want to give a quick shout-out to Matt Rule for that intentional 12-man on the field move he pulled yesterday, because I think that went over a lot of heads. So I think the situation was 3rd and 2. If we stopped the Cowboys, we would have had a chance to get the ball back. Or it might have been 2nd and 3, actually, I think is what it was. But Matt Rule threw Morgan Fox out on the field so he could get the 12-man. This was with, I think, 3 minutes left. He knew Ezekiel Elliott was averaging 7 yards a carry, and we were not going to stop him for 2 plays in a row on 2nd and 3. So he gave them the free first down with 3 minutes left, knowing they would have to snap the ball twice before they hit the 2-minute warning, and then we would have a chance to have one more play at the 2-minute warning and get the ball back. So I think, and even Greg Olsen didn't say anything about it, which I was surprised as he was commentating the game, because I thought that was something he would put together. But it seemed like a lot of people were like, dude, what is he doing? But as I watched it, I assumed that's what I was looking at. So I wanted to give him a shout out on that, because I thought that was a very savvy play, and I thought a lot of people missed out on it and even called him an idiot for doing so.
Anyone that calls Matt Rule an idiot is an idiot themselves, because Matt Rule has proven that he's going to be a very, very good coach in this league. That I did not catch that. But now that you mention it, it seems perfectly logical. I did see he got some criticism yesterday for kicking the field goal, the 50-plus yarder. I mean, I could see both sides. I mean, I would much rather prefer, obviously to make the field goal, but if we don't, I kind of maybe would have liked to punt that. And I know our defense wasn't playing great, but, you're talking about pinning Dallas 20 yards or less, because they scored that next possession. They were basically at midfield. But, the Panthers, they went for it. I can't really fault them there. I know we've had our struggles with our kickers this season, but I don't know, man. I think that's kind of a tough thing to gripe with. I mean, if it was like a 60-yarder, I could see that. But 50 yards, I mean, kickers can make those field goals. So, and that puts us up even further on the scoreboard. So, I don't know.
Well, I think it was and it was the same thing with Sam Darnold throwing those interceptions. I think everybody was kind of forcing it because it was like everybody was like, oh, crap, we need to score points. Everybody knew we had to score points. So I think he was looking for any way to score. Just, like he went for it on 4th and whatever we were like at our own 35-yard line.
Love that play call, by the way.
Dude, I was like, what is he doing? But then he got it, so it was okay. But if he didn't get it, he was gonna be the biggest idiot who ever lived. So it's a good thing he got it. But
yeah, I knew they were gonna. I had a feeling they were gonna go for it. I was like, man, don't get this. We're screwed. But
in the words of Ace Boogie, hindsight's 50-50.
That's right. But you know what? I think it's going to be. I think McCaffrey is practicing. I have a strong feeling he's going to play. I don't know how much, but if he does play, I'm sure we'll know later on in the week when we do our Eagles pregame. But they got to limit the guy. They can't. I think they're smarter than that. They're not just going to throw him out there for 30 reps. But
they did it in 3 games last year.
I mean,
we'll see.
But all in all, tough game, but there's some positives to take away. I'm certainly not I went on the Carolina Huddle yesterday, which is if you ever want to see, listen, I love this website. I've been going on it since I was like in middle school. It's a good site for Panthers talk. If you ever want to see some grown men like melt down live, like on a website, go there, because if the Panthers make one mistake, it is fire everybody, fire the whole team. I'm done. I hate this organization. People making like threads all about the Panthers aren't a good team. I told you this team sucked. I was just like, man, what in the hell are y'all talking about?
I mean, that's just fanhood, I guess. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, row 11G, and you're going to hear all the same stuff about how, it is what it is. But I feel you, man. I feel you. People, it's tough. Football is such an emotional sport for, players and fans that, like, as soon as something bad happens, everyone just starts panicking. You can be in the middle of, like, a 4-point game and something, like, not even that bad happens and you're ready to fire everybody. So, I mean –
Get them off the –
yeah, you know how it is.
I mean, I get it. I just I'm glad I was able to – if I would have did this episode last night, I probably would have said a couple things. But now that we're doing it the next day,
yeah,
taking a step back.
It's a good thing we had some time to sit on this one. I agree.
Absolutely. So that's all we got for today. Do want to give a shout out to all the fans. It's been brought to my attention that we're over 100 subscribers on YouTube, and we have hit over 10,000 total channel views. That's freaking awesome. I mean, you're talking about two guys here who just love Panthers football, just coming in here shooting the shit and just giving our opinion. So the fact that anyone wants to listen or even cares, I love it. Thank you guys so much for anybody who's giving us a chance.
Yeah, appreciate it, everybody. And we'll see you next time, man. Keep pounding.
All right, we'll see y'all.